Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Illinois Corn Connection. I'm Stu Ellis. With me, I'm honored to be seated by Dr. Beth Conerty. Beth is head of the Integrated Bioprocessing Laboratory at the University of Illinois, and she's got some very big news that we want to talk about on this Illinois Corn Connection. And congratulations to you for a big check from the federal government.
Thank you so much, Stu. We did receive news of quite a large check. Just about $51 million was announced for our tech hub yesterday.
Now, that's a very large grant that is going to help really the corn industry, central Illinois. It's going to create new products, but I don't want to let all the cats out of the bag here. Tell me, first of all, what is the Integrated Bioprocessing Laboratory? Let's establish where we are.
Absolutely. So the Integrated Bioprocessing Research Lab is the building we're in. So with the nice background here, we are a pilot scale facility on the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign campus. What that means is we're an externally facing organization that helps companies and researchers get new ideas up through a larger scale. So they might have something great in a bench science space, and then they need to prove it that it can work more in a commercial setting as well. And we help them do that here.
They already have the knowledge, they've done the research, they know, hey, this might work if we could test it and do something with it.
Absolutely. The equipment that you can see here and the equipment that IBRL has is a little different than what most people have access to in a science lab. So they can come in and test their technology on our equipment before they take it to manufacturing or to commercialization.
Now, the technology. What sort of, we've already kind of established corn here as one of the initial feedstocks, but give me some ideas and so people can really understand what may come into the new processes and what may go out of the new processes.
Yeah. Biomanufacturing is kind of the broad term that we use for this. And what that really is just taking any type of plant material and turning it into any type of value-added ingredient, chemical, fuel, compound. And precision fermentation is one of the tools that biomanufacturing uses. And that's where the corn dextrose really plays a role. So if everybody is familiar with how beer is brewed, you feed grain to yeast, and yeast makes the beverage that a lot of people enjoy. What we are doing is feeding that corn sugar, that corn dextrose, to the cells, and instead of producing beer, it is producing ingredients for food, or plastics and polymers, or building block chemicals like organic acids or ingredients for animal feed, all through this fermentation process.
You mentioned a few things, but I have a feeling there's a lot more.
There's quite a list there. We've done inputs for agriculture, so fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides through fermentation. We have done some textile material building blocks through fermentation. There are so many different applications, and I think that there's a startup company somewhere in the world exploring each and every one of them.
So, this is the money that you have received from the federal government. You said it was $51 million. What will it allow you to do?
Yeah. Building out a whole bioeconomy, building out biomanufacturing is a new manufacturing paradigm, essentially. Right. And that's expensive. We need a lot of infrastructure. We need facilities where this manufacturing can actually occur. So IBRL, we've been operational for about 5.5 years. We have we are well over 100 different clients who have come through this building now. But when they graduate and they're ready to take the next step, there's nowhere in the United States where they can do that. So those clients are going to Europe and to China to take the next step of their development cycle right now. So what we are doing with that $51 million is building those facilities right here in central Illinois so that those companies, when they graduate, they can stay right here. They might move down the road to Decatur to partner with those companies or build their own manufacturing sites. But we think it's a huge missed opportunity for the United States if they're going to Europe or China, and we are trying to keep them right here in central Illinois.
With the help of that money, they can build a building and put in pipes and tanks and gauges and whistles and things like that.
Yeah, the money will specifically go to a few different construction projects. So the building that we're in right now, IBRL, will be expanding. Primient in Decatur has partnered with a company called Synonym to bring some of their capacity online. And then ADM in Decatur, on their Decatur campus, will also be adding fermentation capacity and modernizing their facilities. The important thing is that even at the Primient and ADM campuses, those will be for external users. So ADM's not building it just for ADM projects. They are trying to support more companies and bring them in at different sizes and different scales.
There'll be a little pipe from ADM and Primient that goes into this building that's got dextrose or some other corn product in it, and then that company will take that and make a new suit of clothes out of it.
That's the dream. Yes, that's what we're aiming for.
It sounds like there's a whole, it's a really a, the 51 million is seed money for a whole new economy.
Absolutely. There was a lot of news. Governor Pritzker visited us in March, and there was quite a bit of news around that event that referred to this number of $680 million. And I know that was tossed around in a lot of headlines. A lot of people saw that. But you know, again, $51 million sounds like a lot, but if we are building all these facilities, if we are building an economy, that $51 million really unlocks the hundreds of millions of dollars that our partners have contributed to this effort. So we get to kind of combine them and really grow something exciting here.
So really ADM would be doing a little investing of its own in putting in some pipes and things like that, and helping with whatever construct facilities.
Yep.
Primient would be doing something very similar.
Yep.
And then this new company, the 2 or 3 people involved with that, they may get some other seed money to come in, and so a whole bunch of that fertilizes all of this. So we're growing quite a crop out of this whole process.
Absolutely, you nailed it, and that is exactly the hope. Yeah, both ADM and Primient and Synonym have really been great corporate partners through this process, and they are contributing substantial resources of their own to make this a reality.
A lot of people going to be hired for this? Is this it could be a major opportunity for new jobs for a lot of high-tech people.
We believe that it is an enormous opportunity for job creation in this region. There have been a couple reports released that anticipate an additional 1 million jobs added to the U.S. economy because of biomanufacturing over the next 10 to 15 years. I'm not saying that all 1 million of those jobs are going to be in central Illinois, but you can see the scale of what we're working with, and we want to capture as many of those jobs as we can here.
So if somebody were to look up bioprocessing on the internet, they'd see a little bit here and there, but not near as much as there will be tomorrow and the next year, and suddenly it will be a whole new term, a whole new industry, a whole new economy that will be growing, and we've just planted the seed here.
That's the idea, that's the goal. Those same reports estimate that it's going to become a $200 billion market by 2040, I believe. And you're right, we are planting the flag saying there's no better place for that economy to occur than right here in central Illinois.
Okay. When you run this place, when you manage this operation here, the folks who are going to be coming in and you say graduating from here and whatever they do, tell me who they are. What do they bring into this operation, and what will they take out?
Yeah. So our wheelhouse, the companies that we work with the most frequently, so about 3/4 of the work that we do in this facility is for external partners, for companies who need to prove a technology. While we have certainly had clients, the Fortune 500 really large clients come in to test something, our wheelhouse and what we're seeing the most of is startup companies. Usually those startup companies have raised some amount of funds. They have a strain, a technology that they have grown their bug in a shake flask maybe at the bench, in a normal science lab. And then they need to show that it works in one of our fermenters, because our fermenters then translate to commercial fermenters as well. So they will come in with the data that they have generated in their science lab. I have to give a shout out. The reason we've been so successful is that our staff here at IBRL is excellent. They're just so skilled at helping these companies translate that technology into our fermenters. So then when the companies go through some iterations with us, they run some projects with us, they have an excellent set of data that then they can take to a small manufacturing partner. Our biggest fermenter goes to 1,500 liters, and then our clients have taken all of that data and put it into a 30,000 liter tank or a 60,000 liter tank or a 100,000 liter tank, so that they can do some early manufacturing runs.
Now, we haven't used the term corn here for a while, and I may have erred in not keeping that in front of people. But one of the problems that farmers are having now is low prices of corn, and low demand, particularly for exports.
Yep.
Domestic demand is pretty good, but what this is going to do is increase the domestic demand for that crop that needs a higher price.
Absolutely. I think that's why companies like ADM and Primient have been so willing to engage on a project like this. With the electrification of vehicles, we don't know what's going to happen with the ethanol industry. Hopefully there's still a market for some sustainable aviation fuel and some other offtakes for ethanol. But all of these processes, almost all of these processes that I'm discussing, the raw material is corn dextrose. So we can just divert corn from either high fructose corn syrup or ethanol to making this dextrose. There are pallets behind you right now of corn dextrose from some of those partners in Decatur. And as this industry grows, the demand for that corn dextrose is also going to grow. So we see this as a great opportunity for some new end-use markets for traditional ag commodities, specifically corn.
I know the Decatur community would be fortunate. Are there other communities around the state that have corn processing facilities that have interest in something like this, or would be able to provide the dextrose that some of your clientele would be able to use?
Yes. Illinois is a huge corn processing state, right? We're a huge corn producing and a huge corn processing state. I don't want to take sides. IBRL has certainly worked with other companies besides those that I mentioned that are part of the consortium. But the communities around this space, I was in Peoria just a couple weeks ago. They're a great strategic partner of ours, between Alto Ingredients being located in Peoria, and that's pretty nearby as well. But there are a number of companies who have reached out to us. They're interested in the precision fermentation market and what that will mean for this raw material market as well.
So some of your clientele that come into here, do their testing, research, and graduate, they may light at some of those other locations, and not just in Illinois, it could be around the country. But overall, it's going to be a whole new market for dextrose, and who knows where it will go.
Yes, it will be a whole new market for dextrose. We're actively growing the market for dextrose, and those companies might land elsewhere, but part of this project is to get everybody working cohesively and to do everything that we can to get those companies to stay, for the grant here in central Illinois, but for us in our efforts in Illinois in general. We'd love for as many of those companies to stay as we can convince.
We have certainly broached a number of different topics here.
Yes.
But what have we not talked about that really excites you, that you think that really folks need to know about this whole project and event?
When we start talking about the details of this technology, it gets pretty technical and pretty scientific pretty quickly. But what excites me is that there are going to be jobs created because of this for every type of educational background, every type of interest, every level of education that people want to achieve. This isn't a project that is going to create jobs for a few PhD scientists. We're talking about construction projects, brand new manufacturing facilities. Will we need the scientists? Absolutely. We have to drive the innovation. But the reality is that building facilities and running these plants requires a whole different skill set. And so we are so excited about the diversity of jobs and backgrounds that will be served by IFAB.
I think you can probably hear the excitement in her voice by what's really happening. We appreciate Beth Conerty, who is head of the Integrated Bioprocessing and Research Lab here at the University of Illinois, and visiting with us. That wraps up our Illinois Corn Connection for today. I'm Stu Ellis. Thanks for listening.